2:17 a.m., the room held its breath. Candles trembled, a thin halo of smoke unraveling into the dark. I was the one people called when fear took on a face they couldn't name. I knew how to bend attention, slip beneath thought, turn doubt into a door. Power, for me, lived in the space between a heartbeat and the next order whispered under it. But that night, something didn't bend. It didn't even sway. It just stood, quiet, ordinary, a person with their shoulders relaxed and their eyes warm, like they were already home. And in the absolute stillness of their presence, my arsenal, every shadow, every practiced trick, fell to the floor with a sound I had never heard before. Silence that did not fear me. From that night on, I could never pretend I didn't know the truth. The most terrifying thing to darkness is not a louder spell. It's a human being who can't be moved from themselves. I'm not here to throw stones. I'm here because I used to believe my worth depended on control, on secrets, on what I could make other people feel. I stepped away when I realized I was starving on the feast I prepared for others. This message matters because fear is a language so many of us have learned without knowing. Maybe you've felt eyes on you that no one else could see. Maybe you've been tethered by someone's manipulation, or you've carried shame like a name carved into your skin. Maybe you've picked your life up again and again, only to have it knocked from your hands by a gust you can't identify. This is for the ones who sense something trying to siphon their light, whether it wears the face of a person, an old habit, a belief, or a story about who you're allowed to be. I'm going to tell you what makes the takers powerless, and yes, I'm going to name 4 signs, terrifying from the perspective I once held, liberating from the one I hold now. I was paid to be a storm in a teacup. I knew how to plant a thought so it bloomed into panic, how to coax a memory so it dripped poison instead of wisdom. Most people, when faced with that, get pulled into the current. They defend, explain, argue, plead. They look for a way to make it stop, and in that looking, they give the thing their eyes, their breath, their authority. But that night, the person opposite me did something different. They took a breath that went all the way down. It wasn't dramatic. It was regular, round, and human. They put their hand on their chest as if to say, I am here. Not a concept, not a performance, not an apology. Here. Suddenly, my timing fell off, like I'd been dancing to a song they turned down. Later, I would name it the first sign, the quiet spine. It's not bravado, not bluster. It's the sovereign stillness of someone who is not negotiating with fear. You can rattle the windows all you want. The house remains, frame and foundation. When I tried to rile them, they yawned softly, not in disrespect, but in disinterest, as if my storm had no weather report in their town. Fear needs your attention to multiply. The quiet spine refuses to be an incubator. I shifted strategies. If I couldn't pull them outward, I would pry inward. I offered a baited sentence, a soft guilt wrapped around an old scar. People like you always think you're better than the rest of us. Usually that line unspools a thread of proof, a scramble to make me understand, an inventory of goodness laid bare for me to judge. They didn't take the bait. They smiled, not above me, not beneath me, just level, and said, I am not here to be understood by you. It was so ordinary it stung. No anger, no flattery, a simple boundary set like a brick that does not explain why it is brick. That was the second sign, the sealed name. In my world, doors open through tiny permissions, small yeses you don't even hear yourself give, a reply to defend, a giggle to soften, a glance to check. Consent is a spell of its own, and the sealed name is consent reclaimed. The person who knows their name doesn't auction it for approval, and suddenly the entry points disappeared. No key, no hinge, no secret panel behind the bookshelf. I was outside, not invited, and the sky above me was very large. When boundaries held, I went for the quiet places where most people fold. Shame. I conjured a ghost. I mentioned a rumor. I raised an eyebrow at something we both knew was tender. Shame, when it's hidden, is like dry tinder. One spark and the whole field goes up. But the person opposite me leaned forward and did something I didn't expect. They told the truth without flinching. "I did that," they said. "I used to be that. I harmed people I loved when I didn't know how to love myself. I have made amends where I can, and I'm still making them. I'm not proud, but I'm not pretending. I forgive who I was, and I'm not giving you that part of me to weaponize." It was quiet when they finished. Quiet the way the ocean is quiet when you are very small. And I recognized the third sign, the clean mirror. When you carry your story openly, no one can blackmail you with it. When you've already brought the monster out of the closet and sat it at the table, fed it, listened to it, and asked it what it forgot to protect, the monster stops slamming doors. In the clean mirror, my tricks had no place to stick. What can I smear on glass that's already been washed with tears and named? I only had one card left. Make them hate me. If love builds, hate corrodes. If I could get them to spit back, I could hold on to the rope. I sharpened my words until they looked like safety. I spoke from wounds that weren't mine. I tried to make them choose a side. And then I saw it, the fourth sign, the one that began the ending of me. They didn't bless me with saccharine niceness, they didn't excuse me, and they didn't let me closer, but they looked at me with a softness that felt like a door cracked to the sun. "I won't curse you," they said, "and I won't let you close. May you heal, and may you never meet me where I'm not." It was not a performance, it was a posture, the open flame, not the fragile candle that needs the room held just so, but the kind of fire you cook with, warm with, tell stories around. Love, properly understood, is not permission, it is clarity with warmth. It burns away pretense, it refuses trade, and it refuses to mirror harm. Standing in front of that, I knew there was nothing left for me to hold. Darkness can haunt, but it cannot inhabit what is already owned by light. Let me name them the way I now carry them, so you can feel them in your body. The quiet spine is your breath and your bones agreeing, I do not leave myself. It's learned in kitchens and long commutes, in the moment you choose to set your fork down and breathe before answering the text that has your hands shaking. It's boring, which is why it's holy. It starves the drama that thrives on your adrenaline. The sealed name is the sentence, "No" is a complete sentence, upgraded to a way of living. It is permission to not reply. It is the power to say, "I'm not available for that," without a thesis to justify your life. It's the way you reclaim your time, your attention, your gaze. Practice daily, it becomes like skin. You don't think about it, you just have it, and it protects you. The clean mirror is the practice of telling the truth about yourself to yourself and to safe people who can hold it. It's apology without performance. It's refusing to be a museum of your worst moment while refusing to hide it in a basement. When shame can't find unlit corners, it stops multiplying. When you hold your story, no one else can hold it over you. The open flame is the highest discipline, refusing to make an enemy where there is a wound. It does not mean you let people hurt you. It means you do not let their hurt draft you into a war you did not enlist in. You wish them well from a distance. You pray without surrendering your sense. You bless in the direction of your boundary. These are not spells, they are habits. They are muscles you build when no one is watching, so that when something comes for you, it finds itself uninvited to a house that's already warm with a different fire. And yes, from the perspective of someone who relied on fear, confusion, and secrecy, these signs are terrifying. They neuter the only engines that kind of power has: your panic, your need to be liked, your hidden shame, and your capacity to be baited into hate. The turning point wasn't thunder. It was a gentle sound, my name, said kindly by the very person I intended to unmoor. They didn't say it to own me or claim me. They said it like a bell rung over water, like they were ringing me awake. You don't need to do this, they said. You're better than what you sell. I wanted to laugh because it sounded naive, like a child offering a daisy to a storm. But the storm was tired. I was tired. For a living, I'd been wading into people's unhealed places and calling it power. Imagine realizing in a single breath that you've been sold a counterfeit currency and you've been spending your life to buy it. I blew out the candle. Morning was a pale bruise at the window, and for the first time in years, I let it touch my face. I stepped outside, and the world did not end. It began. I called the few people I had left and told them I was done. Not perfect, not holy, done. And then the work began, the quiet kind, the kind that doesn't look impressive on camera. It was forgiveness and sleep and boundaries that felt like gates I didn't know I deserved. It was telling the truth to the person in the mirror and waiting for their eyes to soften. That's when I learned the last secret. The opposite of spell work isn't counterspell work. It's waking up. If you felt hunted by something you can't name, if you felt watched, if you felt your life go dim under the weight of manipulative voices, human or otherwise, hear me. You don't need a bigger roar. You need a deeper root. Stand up in your quiet spine. Practice it when no one's attacking you, so it's there when something knocks. Seal your name. Let your no be a home you live in, not a barricade you panic build. Clean your mirror, air out the rooms inside you until shame has nothing to feed on, and keep your flame open, warm enough to bless, bright enough to see, contained enough to protect. None of this makes you untouchable because you become hard stone. It makes you undetainable because you become water finding its level. What can hold you when you are not holding yourself hostage? I left the old ways not because I was cursed, but because I saw something more powerful than fear, belonging to yourself. From the other side, I promise you this: whatever preys on you is allergic to your wholeness. Predators need confusion to hunt. With clarity, you become very boring prey. With compassion, you become a field where traps rust and disappear. With boundaries, you stop sending invitations you never meant to send. With truth, you stop watering the weeds that keep growing back. So let them call it terrifying. Let the old engines sputter and stall. Your life is not a stage for other people's storms. It is a house with windows thrown open at dawn. It is bread warming on a counter, music in a quiet room, the steady hum of a heart that belongs to itself. Walk with your spine quiet. Keep your name sealed. Wash your mirror clean. Tend your flame. And when the night comes sniffing for something to feast on, let it find nothing to bite, nothing to bargain with, nothing to borrow. Power is not what you take from others. Power is what you refuse to give away. Be the place where darkness has nowhere to stand.